Welcome to YouTooSpain Live. This week's live chat is all about Chris from Upsticks and how he's had a year from hell. I don't think it's actually been a whole year yet, but it feels like much longer. But he's still surviving Spain and still getting your visas and residency for you with a smile. So we're going to be finding out how far up the creek he's travelled and how he's managed to navigate the river of poop that Spain has thrown at him recently. So, of course, my expert guest this week is Chris from Upsticks. If there's time today, we'll also be having one of our very popular arguments about something topical or hilarious. And I've not even decided what it's going to be yet. So, no, we probably won't have time for that. There's going to be plenty of fun anyway. And Chris, once again, has an Upsticks goodie bag to give away to whoever asks the best question or leaves the best comment. So, get commenting now. Join us on the live chat or in the comments below if you're watching afterwards, because you are a part of this too. You're very welcome to YouTooSpain, and you're very welcome to the YouTooSpain theme tune. Here it is. Ra-ta-ta-ta. Oh yes, that was groovy. And speaking of groovy, let's welcome Chris. I'm a bit nervous to ask the usual question, but Chris, if you're there, how are you doing?
You're online. That's a good start.
Yeah, it's working. Today you have internet. That's one of the disasters we'll talk about. So, is there anybody you want to do a shout out to today?
Yeah, just saw that Donald's on the chat there, who we met with this week, and it was nice to catch up, have a chat. I've actually got a photo here I could show you. I'll show you another day. And thanks for dropping in and seeing us and changing your day last minute as well, because I had arranged to see him last Friday, but I had to quickly change that, and they did, and we had a meet this Monday.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's show his message. There we go. He's back in Scotland for a few weeks, had a productive time in Spain. Thanks to Chris, Lucia and Heidi for the meetings they've set up for the final move later this year. Brilliant. And Anton Cares there. Hola todos. Not so much lining up of the ducks here. Yes, they're lining up the ducks. Just busy chasing around trying to line things up. Could do with a Chris and Skatz over here. At least it's mainly sunny now. So they're in France as usual. And Roger Burke says good morning. Shirley Rose and Yogi is there. Good morning, Yogi. And yeah, glad Chris has the internet back, says Kez. Adam Farmelo, sunny spell seems to be over for the foreseeable future here in the Midlands. I think that's Wolverhampton if memory serves. Scat says love the beard. Yes, it's getting more like, what's that band with the beards? ZZ Top. Yeah. I'm getting all ZZ Top on you. Alicante Explorer, good morning, everyone. Paul Cook and Wayne, just a single name. So you're like the Bono of the chat this morning. And Irene Haytree, that's a new name on the live chat. Welcome, Irene. Okay, then. So you can, of course, start asking your questions right now. And everybody who's not said hello on the live chat, I know there's more people watching than there are on there so far. So do put a comment down and click on the like button and all kinds of things. Subscribe, give a donation, do all of the things that you're supposed to do. And Jen has just come on there. And yes, I'll answer that one in a minute. But so today, yes, it's all about the main feature. I'm going to do the jingle anyway. It's the main feature, and it goes like this. It's the main feature of the show. The topic's in the title. Woo! Woohoo, indeed. Yes, the topic is very much in the title. So, Chris, who'd have thought that when you took that selfie photo that we've got on the thumbnail for the show, which was back in late November last year, 2024, not long after my operation, it was a few days afterwards, and during my year of hell, who'd have thought that you'd be facing one of your own? It's hardly fair, really, that the universe has chosen to reward all of the kindness that you showed by heaping all this misfortune on you. It's just a mess.
Yeah, that was a selfie taken with my left arm as well. Well, sorry, my right arm, because I knackered the left one. But I was just laughing at one of the comments here, because it's Yogi says, any update on the ETIAS launch? And the only update I've got is when I walked past the machines in Malaga Airport, they were that dusty. I did write Upsticks in the dust.
Yeah, so nobody's using them. Well, that's the EES machines, isn't it? That's the and the ETIAS is just way in the future. But the latest update is still that EES is going to kick in October of this year, 2025. So that's all we know, and they've said it before on many occasions since, I don't know, when did they start telling us it was going to start? 22, 23, I don't know.
22, 23, something like that.
Yeah, so, but you'll be the first to know, Yogi. I'll put you on speed dial. And Jen says, it's only her second time watching live since she moved here 7 months ago, living in a building site. Oh, there you go. That's very much the sort of thing that we're talking about today. Looking after 2 kittens, a stray cat brought in when they were 4 weeks old, surviving in one room right now. Yeah, and that's just your sort of everyday stresses. That's on the same level as Chris's shoulder, that having to live with that every day, and me living with my stoma bag, It's just the sort of, it's just that extra level of things, because there's normal everyday things that you've got to deal with, the bureaucracies and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll talk about all of that in a minute, I guess. So if you can bear to relive the experience, Chris, take us through a list of the serious disasters and tragedies.
Well, as I say, since last October. So again, I think there's a lot of positive messages we can get out and experiences from a couple of these disasters. So it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah.
But the first one, obviously, talking about breaking my arm there, was a very, very stupid thing, really lack of concentration for relaxing for 1 second, and how much actual hassle that was caused since last October. And then we just about got moving for January with that, and then 2025 we said it's going to be a great year. And then unfortunately our cat of many years, of 20 years, who's been our family pet since basically myself and Lara got together, got very sick, and then sadly we lost the cat. But we've got some experiences to tell you about what happened with that, which I think is worth sharing as well. And then we just got over that, and we had some bereavements in the family, which meant emergency travel on quite a few fronts, actually. Probably I've done 4 trips back to the UK now. And so again, I thought there was some good advice that I learned myself for doing these emergency trips and stuff like that. And then after that, obviously we had the internet disaster, which came sort of at the blackout. After that, we had, I don't know what's happened since the blackout, but we have actually had a lot of problems of connections in Spain and stuff. I think things got burnt out and that, and we were almost 2 weeks after it. We've got the hot tea incident on Ryanair. NIEs. What else should we go on about there?
Yeah, NIEs. And NIEs is another one like, well, we've been saying, and on the last few shows, you've been saying, oh, let's just keep the show to an hour, because we've got things that are happening with the schools. And the schools, obviously, when it comes to the warmer weather, there's just sort of more activities happen, don't they? That's just the sort of everyday life stresses, and that's the sort of thing that, you don't get upset about them, because you're a good parent, you support all of these things, and you make sure that the kids get involved in all of these good things. So yeah, it's not something to complain about, but it does impact just gradually on your levels of, oh dear, I've got to do that next, and they don't tell you about it until the last minute, do they?
Yeah, no, that's that's funny if you'd have seen us at 7:15 this morning, just because, I mean, it happens this time of year, kids, they get, even happened in the 80s, didn't it? You know, when I was at school, where you get home, there'd be a warning. And the only thing is that it didn't have the internet back in the 80s. It'd be a parent told a parent told a parent told a parent. Next, your mum's doing this in your hair. Yeah, I would definitely advise if you've got any grandchildren or children or coming and they live here and they're getting this. When you go to the pharmacy, go for the cheapest lotion ever, because I didn't even realize now, and they will try and sell you, because to be fair, pharmacists is a shop, they want to sell you products as well. And I went yesterday and the lady was like, oh, we've got this shampoo, this knit stuff, and this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh, cool, how much is that? And she went, it's 38 euros. I went, oh, does that do the family then if there's a suspect? And she was like, no, that's per person. So really, things have changed a lot since the last time. And then I had to say, well, have you got any cheaper stuff? And then she went out the back. She said, oh, we've got the stuff from Toda La Vida, which is for, this stuff that really stinks, comes in a bottle. You wear a hat until your head burns and it's job done. And that was €9 a bottle.
More like it.
Two people that do a bottle will do two people. So, don't be sold by the pharmacists.
Yeah, and some of them are worse than others. There's one that was the one that was generally the only one near here that's open on a Sunday, and that's in Nerja. So it's like 35-minute drive to get down there. And it always happens on a Saturday afternoon after the pharmacies have shut down, and something happens on the Saturday, and you've got to go on a Sunday, and you've got to find one that's open. And so they've got the monopoly, and they really, really push all of the top goods. And I can't even remember what I went for, but they sold me 2 products that were 35 euros that I really didn't need, and they were kind of one of these natural remedy ones as well, which what I wanted was something like that knit stuff that you're talking about, which burns you but does the trick in less than a minute, and gets rid of the problem. But but you don't know. And it was right at the start of when we'd only just arrived here as well, so my Spanish was terrible. It's not much better now, but it's I would have understood, I think, if I'd gone now, if my Spanish was better, I think I would have got a more basic product.
I think the lesson behind that is, and I always do it, is that if you do have to go to the pharmacy, because they are good, they do have remedies here, but I think the 2 lessons that I would have taken from even my experience yesterday with the knit or head lice cream is that make sure that you ask for the cheaper thing. They do have stuff behind the counter, so if you want paracetamol, I'll always try and sell you Nurofen, whatever brand. And they do have unbranded boxes of paracetamol, and that's it. Or they'll try and sell you the stuff that's just liquid paracetamol, which is double the price, which is actually quite good, but it's double the price. And so always go for the ask if you can for the house brands, really.
Yes, indeed, absolutely good advice. Just say hello to everybody else there's a lot of chat going on, which is brilliant. Russ Cam, hi all, thanks Chris for call back and the help looking at going forward with the move. Phil, there we go. John Carrington, hi John in Fuengirola, and good morning from Christopher Dines, Andy Elmer, nice to see you both. Starting to line up, our ducks are starting to line up, I think he means there. We will arrange our call to Upsticks soon. He's giving a wave. Lots of thumbs up. What does EES stand for? The electronic... I should know this. I did the video. Watch the video I did on Wednesday. The
entry and exit system.
Entry-exit system. Well done. Yeah, it's the one, the ETIAS one. I can't remember what that stands for. Yeah, everyone smash the like button and support the channel. Thanks for your donation there, Yogi. And sorry to hear about your bereavement, Chris. Hope the family is okay. Yes, 2 family bereavements and 1 friend as well, which
it was actually 3. It's 3 family bereavements.
It was 3 family bereavements. So it just shows you, doesn't it? It's almost washed across by the time it's got to the 3rd one, which sounds terrible. I've lost.
Well, 2 weren't as close as 1, but I understand what you mean. It's like it's it's one of them.
Yeah. Jen says, my issues seem rather tame now. Well, yeah, there are levels of this, and there's always somebody who's prepared to say, yeah, there's always somebody worse off than you are. I mean, we don't live in a war zone.
No.
We're not at threat of missiles falling us and wiping out a family and leaving you with no legs. But, you know, it is tough. So sorry to hear about all the madness and sadness going on. I have a kitten going spare if you want, Chris. There you go. Not right now, but good morning from Barry at Unitech. And treatments, very fine comb. Oh yes, very fine comb for the knits. That's the other thing.
Yeah, you get the comb free. Apparently, but you get a free comb. Well, it's not really free, is it?
No, it's all added to the cost. Yogi saying, what's the weather like in Computer and Malaga? That's something we discuss this straight away. Computer, it's lovely. What's it like down there, Chris?
It's just clouded over a bit. It's supposed to be really warm tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
Telling me, yeah, it's supposed to be. It's about 9. What's it? About, I'd say 19, 20 at the moment. Not too warm.
We headed out. We went to Granada on what day was it? Thursday. That was lovely. Yeah, we were in the near 30 degrees. In fact, in the sunshine, that's where it was nearer 40. It was absolutely lovely. And then we went to Malaga. Yeah, was that yesterday? That can't be right. Yeah, it was yesterday. We popped down to Malaga, and it had rained. It rained a bit in Malaga, and it rained definitely in Computer during the afternoon. And I had an outdoor gig last night, and the weather forecast had said it's all right, it's going to stop raining at 6, and it did. And we got there and set up. I was wearing my shorts, and I took my coat off because I was too hot, took my hat off while we were setting up and everything. And as people started arriving and we were playing, we were going, oh, there's a little bit of a breeze blowing, and there's some cloud coming over, and it was getting darker, and then the wind started getting up, and we're both like gradually wrapping up. We didn't have extra clothes. I didn't have any long trousers. By the end of the gig, in fact, we finished early because it started raining 20 minutes before the end, and we were there playing our guitars, and we're chatting to each other in between, going, should we stop? How many more should we play? And the people were gradually starting to leave, but they were up and dancing and still enjoying it. So we had to kind of call an end to it. But it meant that when we were packing up all the kit, it's all soaking wet. We've got guitars, there's expensive equipment, electrical stuff, plug boards lying on the floor were open to the rain, and it was just very quick pack up. 2 car loads worth of stuff that we had to pack, and I had to throw a load of stuff in a box, and I didn't know where stuff was. And there was one point when I was going, I've lost my red hat, and that's my red stage hat. I've got about 3 hats that I wear on stage, and the red one is a really expensive one. It's like 45-50 quid. I got from Italy. I ordered it in. It's got my name on the inside, and it's really special to me. It's a really good pork pie hat. And so I can't find it, and I'd put it in the entrance lobby to the sort of hotel bar thing, with some of my other kit, and I'm running around going, after I'd packed everything up, going, I can't find it. I had to empty everything out of the box, and couldn't find it in there. I'm going, it can't be, it was there, I'm sure I put it there. And what I'd actually done was I'd swapped hats, because I had my white hat on, and I thought, this has got holes in it, so I don't want that. There's no point, it's not going to keep me dry. And I put the black one on, and what I'd actually done is I'd picked up the black one, and the red one was inside it, and I'd put it on my head, and I was wearing 2 hats. So my expensive hat that I was running around looking for was on my head, but invisible underneath the other one. And so I felt like a complete idiot when I finally found it. Wow. But yeah, just one of those extra stress moments.
And you're saying, you were before we were talking on the show, you were talking, because you were saying about my arm, my arm was a stupid accident, which is inconvenient. Mm-hmm. But you mentioned about your stoma, and how now, because no one's talking about it, you still have to empty it, and you're on stage and you're doing stuff, and it's kind of forgotten about, and you don't really want to say anything about it because you can't say in the mic I've got to go and empty my stuff.
I got a big bag of poo, and
Yeah.
it'll explode all over you if
Yeah.
if I carry on. Yeah, because it's gone bouncing up and down. I shan't describe it anymore, but yeah, and that yeah, my bandmate was going, "Shall we carry on?" And while they're dancing, and I'm going, so what I'm saying over the mic is, "No, I want to have a beer."
Yeah.
So, and that's just me saying, "No, I've got to seriously empty that," and I had to whisper it in his ear as I, in the short break that we were taking. And what's that? Anke said, baggy trousers. Yeah, yeah, it is like that. But yeah, and I've got a sort of a tight belt thing that goes around it to stop it moving. But still, when it sort of goes out and fills, I can start to feel it, and and that's just the everyday thing. And I do have to empty it. We do 3 sets of about 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And I do have to empty it in between each one, because you tend to have just eaten before you set off for the gig. So it's in its filling up stage. So, yeah. But nobody else is aware of it. My bandmate wasn't even thinking about it, because you don't, you forget about these things.
No, you do. So when I go to pick up stuff, like, and now 7 months after is okay, but I got a frozen shoulder because lack of doing what I was supposed to do. My fault again. But you go to work, don't you? You sat here, and I was 2 months without typing. 2 months where our clients, I hope our clients didn't notice, but I mean, one of the positive things nowadays is that I was looking at trying to how I could dictate emails and get them corrected and stuff like that using tools and that, and I had to do it straight away. Like literally straight away. So I'm back now, obviously, with the keyboard that we've got here, which is fine. But the dictation tools, which I used at work, especially when I had just the one arm, were amazing. I don't think I still managed to keep to my email sort of quota, and it's very positive that wouldn't have even existed 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So the world moved on incredibly, even, with things like AI and better tools and stuff. Only if you've got internet, of course, it works. But...
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's another thing, isn't it? When you assume all of these things about your everyday life that are in place to help you out, and then when it all falls apart, the electricity goes or something like that, and you can't use those tools anymore. The support network is gone.
It's gone. But I was seriously, like, definitely, for anybody who's maybe I know a lot of people here looking here to retire and stuff like that, but we do get EU people and people who are looking to come on self-employed. And well, I would seriously just recommend an emergency sort of scenario, tools and software and stuff. So I was quite lucky. We've got a CRM system where this is why we direct everybody from WhatsApp into email, because all our emails stay on a feed. And if for whatever emergency reason or whatever, I can't get to the computer for a day, which has happened a few times now, that's all there, and everybody knows what's been going on, what I've told people on their profile and stuff. If we hadn't had that in place, and the odd tool, it would have been an absolute nightmare. But as it stands, I think, the day that it happened on a Sunday, the Monday, evidently I had to have off. The Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I was in plaster, but still managed to get in. And then operated the following Monday, and then Wednesday I was back in work, but obviously not mobile, but using these fantastic tools that everybody has at hand now. There wasn't too much disruption, really.
But it puts you behind, doesn't it? Because you're just missing out on time periods when you've had to travel over to the UK for funerals and all kinds of things. You just get put back a day, and then another day, and then you have to catch up, and then that clogs up everything else.
It does. You find you just chase your tail a bit. I mean, a lot of what we do is quite processal. So people are just following along, basically just going on, apostille's done, this is done, making sure everybody's on track. But it does, the whole flow of what you do gets interrupted. If you suddenly it's the first time in ages I've just been taking out the scenario for like probably 5, 6, 7 days, even, you know, since Christmas, I've just gone, I just can't go in today. I've got to go and do something else, you know. And, you know, I'm supported by a great team, so that's good. But yourself, you feel like, you know, when you get back to work, you're like, I just feel like the whole day's been displaced, you know. It's to that point where I'm just like, you know, I was looking forward to this week. Something, have we actually got like a full day, 5 days we could hit the office today and just get back to this like normal routine, you know?
And I know you can't forget about the work. You know, you do your best, and when you're with your family, you put all of your time and your effort, and you focus on that. But it gets to the end that they go to bed, and then you go, oh, back to business brain, and you just go, right, I've got to do this for tomorrow and make sure. And then you end up working until late, and then, you know, if you wake up in the middle of the night, and, you know, even if it's just to go to the loo, you're thinking about what you've got to do in the morning. And
even if you're just structuring it, you know, it's I mean, the family are very good, you know, they understand when it's work time and when it's our time, you know, and I don't mix the two most of the time. But even, well, you know, like yesterday I was out, we were at just a checkup with Raoul, and a client phoned, and I was like, that's a strange phone call, because that client should be phoning right now. That means there's a problem, you know, because generally my phone isn't that busy because most things are structured. But so, you know, you got to take that call. But yeah, it's I suppose it's just the emergency situations which take you away from what you've got planned for that day is an absolute pain.
Mike Fisk is saying, yes, got the stomas are a nightmare. Are they able to carry out a reversal op sometime in the future? The answer to that is yes, that is planned. Their date isn't planned. I actually, part of my trip into Malaga yesterday, it's more to do with getting another car, which, you know, we were talking about in a program, I don't know, 4 weeks ago. We were talking about how to buy a car. I think it was probably longer ago than that. But finally, we picked up the car yesterday in Malaga, which is a whole other story, all of the stresses that you go through during that process. But anyway, that's the finances. We've now burned our bridges for finance. If another emergency happens, there's no way we could get a loan to cover it now, because we're paying out a monthly thing, and that's all from a bank loan. So anyway, but yes, one of the reasons to go into Malaga yesterday was my stoma has actually grown. The thing that's sticking out of my belly has grown, and it's unusually large. And I think it's because I've lost weight since last year, since the operation, and it's just all of my muscles have gone in, my skin's gone in, and so it's just pushed out a little bit more. It's not huge, but it's a worry because it's now rubbing on the outside of the bag, and it gets in the way, and it makes it more difficult to actually cut out the hole that you need to do in the thing that sticks onto your skin, and to put it on, and you've got to kind of squeeze it in now, and it can make it bleed. And so there's all of those things that you've got to adapt to. And the worry is now that when I went to see the stoma nurse yesterday, she was saying, well, you know, if we have to, you know, what we might have to do is bring the operation forwards, and have you in.
Oh, we've lost Skatz. Can anybody hear me? Is that me? Have I frozen, or have you frozen, Skatz? Which one of us is frozen? Say on the live chat. Don't think it's me. Guys, can you still hear me? Oh, I'm just going to stay here. There you go. You can hear me. Okay. Well, I'll just talk then.
There you are.
Yeah.
Did you carry on? Did you carry on talking to people? Is that?
Yeah, I was just asking people what was going on.
Fantastic. I just had connection lost, trying to reconnect, and I was busy talking. I was busy,
Which is weird because I'm going through
of
your connection. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I think Restream stays open,
oh, okay.
so the broadcast still continues. So
But not-
there I was talking to myself for I don't know how long, and I didn't realise that you weren't moving at first because you were just sitting there. And yeah, so I was talking about how typical that this would happen right in the middle of a show about disasters and problems, that we have a technical issue.
Well, let's hope they bring the operation forward. I think that, that's talking about. I mean,
I know I don't want that. My point I was making when I was talking to myself is I can't afford for that to happen. We're in a family with, yeah, it's the summer. This is when all my gigs are happening. I said to I had to translate in through my phone going, no, we're both self-employed. I'm a musician. I've got all these gigs lined up, and it's taken me ages from the start of this year to build back up the gigs. Now, if I stop now, that would be a financial disaster. Can't do it. So
you bring up a valid point there, because I didn't do this with my arm, and they said that about being self-employed isn't taken into consideration with the social security, and that's where private healthcare. I don't have a private policy. We pay enough social security. I've always used the public healthcare system, but as you say, on a few occasions and it's always been very good, but you have had to be insistent, haven't you?
Yeah.
And now I haven't been that insistent. I've just followed the flow, and I made a huge mistake with mine where I didn't get put into rehabilitation, which is, I call it my class for slightly broken people, where you have to stand there and do this and stuff. And they put the electrolysis machine on it there. So you sit there for half an hour and it's just moving around. Lara came in and was laughing at me the other day. She had to pick up some paperwork. So I took it there. She picks it up. I got in there really late, and because I didn't really push the issue. And then the lady was, when she did the physio, was doing the test, and she was trying to put my arm up. She was like, well, you've got they call it frozen shoulder. It isn't really a frozen shoulder, but this muscle here is retracted, which means if I lift my arms, you can see that this one's higher.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so I can only get it up to a certain, anyway. And that causes the pain. I was going, well, why is it still painful? Surely it's fixed. And then she was like, well, when was your last x-ray? And I went, well, I thought this was the next part of the journey. I'm being fixed. She went, no. She went, you're supposed to be traumalogia for, I don't know what that is in English, but trauma for a year. And then we're rehabilitation. We're completely different. And I'm like, oh, this is confusing me now. And I kept on top of my appointments. And she was like, well, you've missed an appointment. I'm like, well, I didn't. She was like, you have. She should have had 3 x-rays. And then really that means that now you've got to come, because we can't check how it's healed. You've got to come now here 3 times a week at 9 o'clock in the morning on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I'm like, how on earth am I going to be at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday here? So it's impossible to be here for an hour and a half that time.
Yeah.
Do you know how many other times? She was like, well, no, if you either accept it or you lose your treatment.
Ah, so you kind of dropped out of the system.
Well, I'm sort of, it's a bit of a scramble at the moment, a kick, roll and scramble, to get to the appointments. And sometimes I'll make an excuse, and maybe I make sure I do 2 a week, put it that way.
That's the story of your life at the moment. Kick, roll, scramble.
Kick, roll, scramble. Sounds like I'll do 2 a week. I'll give you an excuse, because if you miss 3, you get kicked out. And then, to be fair, she did line up an appointment on Wednesday with the sacred nurse of broken arms, who's going to put me back in the system, or whatever her title is, I don't know, and hopefully get that on track. So but it's just not really keeping on top of it, and like you've been quite insistent, haven't you, making sure that your appointments are there, and you really have to. Sometimes you can't just sit back, can you?
I know, I'm waiting for 2 at the moment. I'm waiting for 2 phone calls. One is from once I went to the health centre, and diabetes thing, they want to check my eyes. That's what my doctor said. I want to just have your eyes checked, because they can get impacted with diabetes. And so she said, give this note to the guy on the desk, and they'll make an appointment for you to go to the other health centre down the road, which has got the equipment. And normally that phone call comes sometimes when you're on the way home from the health centre. Normally it's when I'm driving in the car and suddenly the phone goes off and you go, yeah, okay, I can come to that appointment. But it's not happened, and this must have been a month ago. So I'm still waiting for that phone call to come through. And the other one is the second check appointment that I needed to do for the stoma thing on the lead up to having the operation to reverse the stoma. I've been waiting for that for absolutely ages. So I asked the stoma nurse, although actually the stand-in stoma nurse, because the other one was off on Friday, so there was all the confusion about that. Anyway, so I asked about this appointment, took the paperwork along and said, I'm still waiting for this. And she's kind of looking a bit worried about that, thinking, no, that should have happened already. And so she was trying to explain what I needed to do and go along to the X-ray department in the other building and take the piece of paper and ask them about it. And so eventually I got down to that window, to the secretaria there, and asked about that. And she checked the system and went, okay, well, I'll put you down for another phone call. So I'm expecting a phone call soon. But she said, if nothing happens within a few days or a week, then just go along to Hospital Civil and make yourself known. So, and I wouldn't know, if I went in there, who do I ask for? Because there's just a group of people on the door that's saying, where do you want to get to? And which department do you want to
get away
speak
from the
to?
desk, that is, I think.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with all of that. And I don't know if that's putting the operation back. Because that would be the other worst thing to happen. If I wasn't in November, if it was in December, January, I wouldn't be able to book any gigs. And I learnt from this year that I didn't start booking gigs until February, March. And then it was everybody saying, oh no, we filled the diary up in January. We've only got like this one date sometime in July. And we can't book you in for that one yet because we don't know whether there's going to be this happening or something like that. There's one venue in the next village where he's on the same bit of land as the swimming pool, and it's the community swimming pool. So, and they own that bit of land, and he doesn't know whether he can put a gig on the Sunday afternoon there, because that's when the pool's open.
Right.
And so he's saying, well, you can kind of pencil it in, but there's no way I can guarantee it until we get to the first week in July. So I don't know whether I have to keep that one free or not. If another gig comes up, then I'm just going to have to take it, I guess. But I can't have that happen. If my operation is going to be in January, then that's just going to make a whole mess. Unless I just go, right, I'm booking the gigs, and we'll just take it day by day.
That's again another good point that you've raised there about life in Spain and it's something even after 25 years, and most of my mates are Spanish, so they have the Spanish attitude, not like a square-headed Brit, like we need to know what's happening in December the 1st at 9:00, which is like my case really. It's just going with that slight attitude of, okay, it'll happen when it happens. So like you're like I can't wait till the 1st of July to know if this gig's going to happen. And like this morning, I've got my daughter's in a gymnastics tournament, but it's the home tournament today, so she had to be there at 9:00 there to help and stuff. And they'd mentioned about Lara sort of helping at the bar. I said I'm not going to be able to, but I can run in and out, maybe do a video and whatever. And what time is she dancing and stuff like that. And we found out 15 minutes before the show that when Lara now won't be helping, so she's like, okay, well that's great, so now I'm stuck here. Luckily we've got the office around the corner doing nothing, and I'm like, what time's she dancing? And I'm like, well, if I'd have known that, well, that means we can run over a little bit on the show, but if I'd have known that, I'd have planned my day differently, but you've got to be, and surely they didn't just find this out this morning, but you've got to be a little bit, okay, que sera, that's it. It's
maybe this is where the mañana attitude that everybody talks about. Well, certainly English people talk about the Spanish mañana attitude. Maybe that's where it comes from, because you just have to go with the flow and know that these things are going to happen, and the bureaucracy is there.
But we had it this week. We're booking now. The good thing about it is, like, for the Alicante, the Alicante appointments now, our biggest problem now is Almeria and Huelva, but Alicante, Murcia and Jaén we've solved by brute force. I have to say, it's been the guy here, Jose, our YTS, hitting the refresh button every 10 minutes. Julie, Victoria, and Julie's got a little team of people who've been helping us to book appointments, and it literally is by brute force of how many times you can look at the mobile phone and try and get appointments. We've got over 30 appointments booked, so it is possible. But some of them, like, we've had married couples who have got 2 different police stations in the same province 7 weeks apart.
Wow.
But it's just, that's where it is. That's what it, because you literally get 3 seconds, and quite often you get all the way to the end of the booking and say, oh, someone else has grabbed that. So then you kicked out the system, you know. So and then trying to explain that to people, you're like, well, I know there doesn't seem any logic, but well, can't we wait and see if another one comes up? No. You've got to take it.
You got to take it. Yeah,
you got to take it. You got to go. And
this is one of the messages of this show, is that you're keeping going, and everything is happening. Or you're still getting the visas, the residency. The Upsticks is still moving along like a well-oiled machine, and you're doing it with a smile as well.
Even better, because you know what Lara said. You were supposed to break your arm, because I would not. I'd definitely be someone who would struggle to delegate. Don't mind saying that, you know, and because Upsticks is my baby from the start, and now we're a big team, and I would still keep an eye on something and go. And the fact that I broke my arm and we had to restructure a lot of stuff has been hugely positive for next year, where we have to move offices and get a bigger office. So, you know, on a positive spin, you know, there's been a lot of forced elements which have had to be put into play, and stuff which Lara says was meant to happen, because you couldn't carry on doing that. So, you know, and there's a lot of stuff I've got off my plate now, which is still running fine, even if I don't keep an eye on it. You know, it doesn't matter how, you know, we all learn, don't we? So in anything, it's been a positive learning lesson for me, you know, personally, you know, because I'm not the kind of person who would take 20 minutes out to just focus on mindfulness or something. I wouldn't do yoga. I'm just not that kind of person. But sometimes as you get older, I think you have to have those sort of breaks to be able to focus, don't you?
It's true. I'd never have done something like yoga before, but every morning now I realise that I've got aches and pains that happen every day just from sitting in an office, and now I have this little routine of just a few minutes of doing a few stretches up against the wall, just so my ankles are okay, and I do the plank, just holding that to the count of 100, and that has solved all of those problems with my upper back, my neck, my shoulders, and now I can sit in the office for a lot longer and do a lot of the work that I couldn't do before. Mind you, it's making me become office bound, but yeah, you do learn. And this is all about this is what we're all about today, isn't it? The whole learning experience.
There's one thing I did want to mention was about the we were chatting about before, about when, so we've gone on about the broken arm a bit, but when something happens and you have to travel in an emergency, because this has happened on 2 occasions now to myself and Lara, where one was when Dad had a heart attack, and she had to go as soon as she possibly could, and fortunately he's still with us and wasn't given that prognostic, so we're very happy. And one was when I lost my stepfather this year, and I really had to get back quite quickly, and both of them happened really early in the morning, around 8 or 9 we were informed. And there's no question, you just got to get there as quickly as possible. Now, we are fortunate that we live very close to the airport. Okay, so we can be taxi ride 10 minutes to Malaga Airport if needed. But having various apps and stuff, you know, maybe people aren't used to using apps, but it was incredible. Lara got to Edinburgh by 6 o'clock in the evening, and we found out at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was in Peterborough by 5 o'clock in the afternoon after finding it at 8 o'clock.
Wow, that's quick.
Now, things like, so I know a lot of people don't live near the airport, but knowing sort of the flight routes or having Skyscanner, and for me it's Ryanair, because I'm allowed to say that, aren't I? Because Ryanair, the only flight runs daily to Stansted from Malaga with 4 different flights. We always end up with them, but having their app with the payment details in, my details in, ready to go, which could be any app that's, you know, your flight route that you use regularly, was just a godsend, because, you know, we got in, you can book up to 2 hours before, you know, until they open facturación, the whatever that is in English, the abort when you put the bags in or whatever, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
check-in.
When they open the passenger check-in, you can, I believe, because I asked when I got there, it's up to 2 hours before the flight leaves, and they close the gate before that. So you can actually book any time before that. Having your phone, obviously, for your boarding pass. And the other 2 apps that I found very, very useful, because it was a case of, as I'm sat in the airport, I'm trying to look, it was Trainline, believe it or not, for the UK, which if you're living here, you wouldn't think I need Trainline on my, you know, because I know it does Europe as well. But and because I couldn't really get my head around looking at the individual train companies, Trainline just, I think there's a little bit of an extra charge, but it just has everything on there. So simple.
It's brilliant. When we went on holiday to Italy, though, it was fantastic just for booking the train from the local village to take you to one of the cities. We did way more public transport when we were on holiday, even though we had a hire car. We just thought, we don't want to drive down the mountains like this all the time, when the train just goes almost straight through, you know. And they've got one in every valley, all because of dictatorships during the war, you know. The train lines were just fantastic. It's true with dictators. Happened with Franco as well, didn't it? Here,
yes, yeah.
Transportation system is brilliant, and that's why the motorways are good still.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a good app, because you don't. It was not thinking too much. Again, you got your payment preloaded on there, and then after that was Uber, which Uber hasn't really worked in Spain in a lot of areas for a while. It now works here on the coast very, very well. We can get them from Alarin de la Torre. A year ago we couldn't. You know, it's a bit hit and miss inland, but on the coast Ubers work extremely well. But having those 3 apps on the phone made sort of the emergency travel, because bear in mind as well, when Lara went back, I could actually order an Uber for her. So she was going to jump in a taxi. I was like, no, get an Uber, because it's a little bit more secure. I can see where you are. You know, it sounds, most people nowadays would have those apps, but if you haven't, and you ever do have to run back in an emergency, we found them to be, you know, easy.
Yeah, so many helpful things around. There was a question earlier, and we should do that. Kazini Jiki, that's an interesting name, is 100,000 euros presumably in premium bonds. Oh no, that's going to be in pounds. The premium bonds is an English thing, isn't it? Is it enough to get Spanish residency for a family of 3? And does having it in premium bonds work, or do you have to cash up?
Depends on what platform you're coming on, really. I mean, if you are coming on an EU family members platform, then premium bonds aren't really widely accepted here to, you know, within the, I'd be saying bring those funds to Spain probably if you're doing an EU platform. If you're on a non-lucrative visa, then that would certainly get you through the first year. And so far so good. We haven't had a problem with premium bonds this year. You know, it's like we always say, it depends whose desk it lands on, doesn't it? The premium bonds, the only thing I'll say about that, if you're looking at a non-lucrative visa, for example, I mean, self-employed visas and stuff, you'd have to prove different forms of income. But if you've got premium bonds, you got to remember that's a fixed deposit of cash, and the likelihood is they'll accept it, but they still want to know how you're going to live. So because at some point you'd have to, if you're only going to use the premium bonds, have to take that out, put it in a bank account and spend it. Do you get what I mean? So it's okay meeting the requirement and proving you've had the requirement, but it's also a good idea to have the proof of, okay, but when you come to Spain, you've got 100 grand in premium bonds, but that's not going to pay your rent, pay your electric and buy your tapas at the weekend. How are you going to do that? Will you be taking that money out and spending it? So sometimes it's best to also have the proof of how you're going to be living, as well as the funds to back it up to meet the minimum required amount.
Yeah, and you're looking ahead to your renewal as well. What's going to happen in years 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, if that's what your plan is. If you're on a non-lucrative visa, you're not going to survive on 100,000 with a family of 3.
No,
not for 5 years. No.
That's not going to meet the minimum requirement for if it's only savings, that wouldn't meet the minimum requirement for the renewal if you're planning on spending some money as well.
Yeah. There we go. Ant was saying earlier, remember it well. I remember it well, Chris. Kez says, viewed from behind, my shoulders are on tilt. So, yeah, he's had the same situation. And he said, and that's 30 years ago in England. Kez says, no, it was 20 years ago in France. What do I know? What day is it? Oh, Mad David's on the way to Wembley. Up the Blades. Okay. Who's the Blades?
So is that Sheffield? No, it's not the Blade. I don't know a lot about football. Am I going to have wobbly shoulders then for the rest of my life there? I'm not happy about that. What's going
I don't know. Maybe you can make a feature of it.
I do.
Oh, yeah.
I do now. Do you know what I say to the kids? We had some of my friends' kids the other day, because bear in mind, when you're in my demographic, everybody's got the same problem. So it'll be like Angel, my mate, will call me and go, are you picking up the kids at 5? Or is Lara? I'm going, hang a minute. No, it's Lara today. Right. Well, I need you to grab our kids. Yeah, no problem. And Lara will be like, well, I'll drop them with you, and then you'll go, because sometimes we get people asking for calls after 6 o'clock, and I'm going, you really don't want to call after 6 o'clock. Screaming madness. But yeah, so this Sheffield United, the Blades.
Sheffield. Oh, yeah. Ant says something. Sheffield, good luck. There you go. Oh, Mike Fisk says, waiting times for scans and other appointments with hospitals and health centres in Marbella are getting really long, forcing us to go the private route. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, we've noticed it's slowed down a bit. Yeah, unfortunately.
It's very heavily populated out there, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, and social security system is under a lot of strain at the moment.
And Kazini says, yeah, it's non-lucrative visa. But she says, I'm presuming it's she. I'm sorry if because I don't recognise that name. Never seen it before. That money can stay in for good, they are saying. So yeah, there must be either passive income or other savings.
Yeah, so you would be. I mean, that's the amount that meets the minimum required amount, and if you just have to prove, on when you're renewing. I mean, I'd say that, albeit we've had 2 occasions in Malaga where back to back where they've accepted premium bonds plus proof of how you're surviving with a translation, and then we had another one where they came back and went, no, we're not accepting that at all. We want an apostilled and notarized version of the proof of the funds. Hang on a minute. All you can get is a download from Premium Bond. So the funds had to be moved into Spain. We then got believe it or not, a notarized proof of the funds leaving from the UK to prove that those persons' funds were theirs, and a stamped document from Spain to prove the trail. So, the safe bet is, if you're going to be using savings, bring them to Spain, and have them in a Spanish bank or a Spanish product when you go your renewals. But if you've got other income, 100 grand for a family, if you can stay there free, is fine.
Yeah, and it's good emergency money to have once you're a permanent resident. That's there, and it's still kind of earning, isn't it? Premium bonds, or it can be.
It might not be earning if you bring it to Spain with the products they got here, I can tell you.
Yeah, leave it in the UK. Mind you, then if you get a payout, then you've got to pay tax on it, haven't you?
Again, yeah, that's something to check actually, which would, is when obviously if you've got stuff in products in the UK and you become a resident in Spain. I mean, we don't really do tax, but then if you do end up cancelling that product or cashing in that product because it's got a tax liability, if you're a Spanish fiscal resident, it's best to get your ducks in a row before you move over.
Yeah, and it's a capital gains tax, isn't it?
More or less, yeah, because it's a capital gain. So depending on the product you've had it wrapped up in it, and if it's gained as well during that time. But anyway, I'm not going to say that much about tax.
Yeah, because we're not qualified on that. But yeah, I've just heard it so many times that I almost feel like I'm qualified, but I can't. I'm definitely not.
Should we talk about pets?
Oh yeah, we've missed off some of these things. Let's just go to Ant's comment. 28 viewers, only 12 thumbs up. Help the channel that helps you, and hit the thumbs up. Costs nothing but helps the channel. And also hover over the GoFundMe, give us a little donation, or on the memberships thing, which is over that side of the screen or something. Yeah, is that over there? Yes, fingers up there. Brilliant. I've got it on the GoFundMe QR code at the moment, or you can do the buymeacoffee.com, which is in the video description. And also don't forget the smart currency exchange. Go down to the thing, go down to the links, and don't forget to use them as well. That's all the plugs. Okay, let's go on to what you were going to talk about, Chris.
Pets. So yeah, unfortunately now our beloved player, who, I mean, she had a long and very healthy and fruitful life. We picked her up. Lara was 21 when she turned up at our flat in Salou in Tarragona with her best mate after a couple of glasses of wine, with this cat that was living in front of the hotel where we worked at the time, which was called Player Park, hence why the cat was called Player. Thinking that we could probably give it a couple of good years life, because we hadn't even bought a house at that stage. And 20 years later, 2 kids years later, I mean, she was 11 when the kids were born. We didn't think she'd see that.
Wow.
And but sadly, this year, at the beginning of the year, she was taken ill. We took her to the vets, did everything we possibly could, but it looked like that it basically got to a point where they had to operate to do a biopsy, and that would have put her under so much stress, that it wasn't worth it. And so we started doing the research, but the reason I wanted to bring this up was because there's a lot of things I just didn't know existed here, and for people who are bringing their beloved pets with them, it's something to consider. Now, Player just passed of her own accord, but if you don't want to put I didn't feel right after 21 years putting her in a box and taking her to the vets if that was going to be needed. I was like, this isn't, she's been with us. She's been with Lara virtually her whole adult life. She's been with me since I was 25. That she's moved 4 different provinces. I'm not going to put her in a last 10 minutes in a car with us because she hated car journeys. So Lara did some research, and it turns out there are vets which will actually come and visit you at the house. And a friend of mine, now I think they were saying it, now it's not cheap, so if you were to do it at the vets, it's around 45 euros. If someone comes to your house, depending on where you are, it can be up to 100 euros. But a friend of mine who recommended this said it was just a great experience because the animals suffered no stress at all, that they were in the place where they wanted to be, and it was just a really nice way to do it. And for that extra money, if you've got a beloved pet, and let's be honest, it's nothing compared to what it's going to cost you to get the pet to Spain in the first place, is it? Then that's something wonderful that you can do to that animal rather than having to take them to the vets, which is clinical and not good.
Yeah, that happened with our two in Ireland. We took them to Killarney from where we were, and it was a good hour's journey in the car, and yeah, it was upsetting for us as well.
You can, it's a terrible thing, because it's a member of your family, maybe, whether you like it or not. I mean, I'm always saying I don't want another animal now for a while, but because it breaks your heart, doesn't it?
Yeah. But then you'll see one. That's the same with us. When we knew we were going to get another one when we moved here, eventually, but we were saying No, we don't, and we didn't. We weren't going to get a puppy, a small one, but you know, when it happens, it happens. It was just somebody thrust this puppy at us, and we went, "Oh," and that was it. You know, we were sold on the idea. So.
Yeah, no, I'm sort of resisting at the moment because every time we've got now we do have since they have had our wildcat community, which is keeping the sort of let them do what they do. They're not going to never be house cats, but they seem to have turned up and keeping
Yeah.
our population down and ripping our bins open. But you know, live and let live. But they'll never be house cats as such.
Yes. Yeah. It's not quite the same.
No.
When you properly fully adopt one, yeah, and they become they're a member of your pack. I know certainly, I don't think cats are quite the same as that, but they have a kind of more of a community. But dogs, they become there's a pack mentality about it.
I think cats do as they get older. So like our cat Player, she had a sixth sense when anybody was sick.
Oh yeah.
So really weird. Like I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it myself. But like when Lara was pregnant, she'd just lie by her belly. She wouldn't be. You wouldn't find her anywhere else. At night time, she'd be there. And then when the kids have been sick, she was very unsettled when people were sick for some reason. On my arm, she'd just be there all the time with me. Which is for a cat. I wouldn't. If you'd have told me that, I'd have gone, yeah, whatever. But you know, I saw that, and so I do believe that. But
I'll put Donald's comment up there. Non-pet owners can never understand the love that exists for a pet. Something very intense.
No, you really can't, and especially you know if you've you know, so you'd be that. But one that leading on from that, another thing which I didn't know exists here was pet crematoriums.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it's quite big across Spain. Now we had one in Alarin de la Torre. It's got a pet crematorium, and when Lara said it to me, I went, "Hey,
yeah,"
you know, because I was like, I didn't, you know, I don't know if some reason I didn't want to bury her in the garden, but so we had her cremated, and then you can obviously keep the ashes if you want on the shelf or whatever, or make a plant or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I didn't. And when we went to take her, the day it was quite stressful. And then they had to go back to work, do some calls. The rest of that day off. But they made it such a lovely experience. I mean, I've been to, unfortunately, plenty of human crems, and it wasn't unsimilar in their compassion and the way that they dealt with the people bringing the pet. You know, so they actually have a room if you want to go in and just, you know, spend a couple of minutes. There's, you know, a book, and then they take the animal away and return with the ashes. But it's very, very, very well done. You know, it was almost, you know, akin to what they do to a relative. It was, you know, it was lovely. I thought it was, again, that was an experience for me.
And they have them in Ireland, but what happened with us was that it was the vet that sorted it out for us. And but they at the vets, they have these like presentation boxes, all night, look beautifully carved wooden boxes that they present you with the ashes, and you've got a little plaque on the top with the name of your pet, and it says it's quite lovely how they do it. And so they're passing on that kind of feeling from the crematorium, I think.
Yeah. It's lovely. So we were actually we had a lovely guy there who's like, "Oh, make some tea, or do this, or do that." But you know, I think that maybe, and it sounds crazy, it'd be comforting for people who are looking to move to Spain. You know, you shouldn't. Okay, if you're looking to move to Spain, you've got a 4-year-old dog. You're not thinking about what you're going to do if something happens. But it's comforting to know that you can do the research, and those kind of services do actually exist here as well. You know,
that is true. That is true. Anyway, so we've gone past the hour. Don't want to go on too much longer. Any other things? The hot tea you're going to talk about?
Oh yeah, the hot tea. We did NIEs. I think we're going to do. On my list, I had we were going to mention the collapsing of the residency appointments this week. Yeah. And the hot tea. So anyway, the last one was the hot tea, the third degree, but I think the third degree burns or second.
Yeah.
You saw one earlier on.
Nobody even knows that. Yeah.
Yeah. So last Friday, I decided that it was now. I've been on a few trips back to the UK because of the time out it's taken from the office and stuff, and there's things that we need to crack on with here. The really big positive note was my mum came over, stayed with us for 3 weeks, got on really well, so this is going to be summer. She won't be over, but hopefully towards autumn and winter she'll be able to come over and spend more time with us, be part of the family. And now she can travel, she's on her own, and that was really nice. But then we had to work out taking her back because she can't quite travel on her own yet. And I said, I'll take you back, no worries. But the way the flights worked out was I could have either go in and out to Peterborough in one day, which I did in the end, 23 hours. Right. From leaving my house to getting back. Again, fantastic apps, travel apps nowadays. Or stay there for 5 days. I can't do that again. So I went in and out, but on the Ryanair flight on the way out. Now, an airport beer is quite customary, isn't it? Any time of the day. Mm-hmm. And if it's going to be a long day, you're thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I shouldn't really be drinking at 6:30 in the morning. But if I've got a long day and it's customary to have an airport beer, so, but
it's a tradition.
It's a tradition. It's just a tradition. I think it's you have to do it, especially unless you're driving, obviously the other end.
Yeah.
So now we didn't manage to do that in the airport because we were quite short for time because we left the house. The flight was at 4, I think, something like that. Mm-hmm. No, we landed in Stansted at 8. So the flight was at 6. And we left the house at like 4:30, so we were quite tight for time. Mm-hmm. So we ended up getting on the flight, sitting down without a drink or anything. So I was sort of thinking, I was considering, really one of these warm Ryanair beers is probably not a good idea, but the morning I've had so far, why not? And then, I was talking to my mum. I said, what? I'm not actually going to, no, let's be sensible. Let's have a cup of tea, and it's going to be a long day. Let's have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
So anyway, we both got 2 of those Ryanair mug-sized teas with the tops on and everything. Put it down. And for the first time ever, I took one of those neck things, the bracelet, which are useless, by the way. If anybody's got a recommendation for something better, because they're rubbish. They really are. They don't work at all. Mm-hmm. So I was there, and because it didn't work, I'm there like this, trying to get comfortable. You just sit there, like, it's just terrible. I took it off, put it on the floor. They served the tea, and because it was on the floor, I put my leg down and just moved my leg and threw the tea just as it'd been served all over me. So the moral of the story is really you should, if you're thinking about having an airport beer, or just have one, because if that had been beer, there's no way that it would have burnt me.
Yeah, and viewers, I've seen the 3rd degree burns. Chris showed them before the show. You can't really show it on the air. Well, you could do, but
we get banned.
Yeah, we might get banned, but yeah, it doesn't look good. I have to say, it's really nasty.
That was, but they were very good. Ryanair were, again, we shouldn't mention, but the staff were like, they said, a little bit embarrassing. They said, could you come to the back of the plane? And I was sat at the front. Mm-hmm. I'm like, why? They're like, because we've got the medical kit at the back. And I'm like, okay, I'll walk past the 238 people with tea all down me. Luckily, everybody was asleep.
Yeah.
So I got to the end, and they gave me some immediate burn cream and some gauze stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they had to do a report on it because they'd opened the thing. And that was it. But they were good. My mum said, well, really, I shouldn't have given you it that hot. But like I said, you know what? They're at work. If they can't do wrong for right, because they've given it to you cold, then you'd have complained. And if it's not hot enough, you'd complain, didn't you? And I threw it over myself. So, idiot.
There you go. These things happen. Mm-hmm. There you go. Oh, Ant says an elasticated training band for your shoulder.
Okay.
Ask Liz. Yeah, she knows that helps with resistance movement. Also, good arm on the desk allows bad arm to hang loose. Cue for a song, Swing Low Sweet Chariot. There you go. Good luck with that. So yeah, hang your bad arm loose.
This is the bad arm. I'm still doing my daily exercises, but and we can. The other day we got it. The first time ever. Do you remember the video of me touching my nose? I was like,
Oh yeah.
could only just get it. But the first time ever, I got the arm stretched above my head using this like that.
Oh wow.
So I can do that now.
Oh, I've not seen you do that before. No.
Yeah, that was only the last 2 weeks or so. I could get it all the way up, thanks to my fantastic physio at the Social Security, who she's relentless in her pain, but she's the only person who's pushed it that far, really. And you lie on the desk, they get your arm and go, right, does that hurt? She's like, yeah, a bit more.
Fabulous. Oh, Mark Gwynell has joined us. Hi guys. You come right at the end of the show, but you're very welcome. You can always watch it back. It's been a fantastic chat. Was there anything else we're going to chat about? Because I've got to empty my stoma bag at some point.
The only one thing I said I had written down here, which again is probably common sense, but I've found them to become very useful in all circumstances, is mobile battery packs. Right? Having them, they're cheap now. Even if I got a load from Temu, you know what? Having them charged and ready to go in the blackout, in the blackout, and in the traveling emergency situations. My backpack actually plugs one in, and then it's got a cable, so you can plug your phone on the outside.
Very handy.
€20. So having those for an emergency situation at home, 5 or 6 in the world we live in, is a good idea.
I know, we are actually talking about, since the blackout, we're talking about getting one of the bigger ones that you can charge by solar.
Yeah.
Or if you charge them up, and if you've got the right amount of wattage on it. I could run this studio. I had a day where I could not work because everything was off. And I'd still have had trouble because the internet wasn't working anyway, but I would have at least been able to get on my computer and write things and use my computer and access my files, which are all backed up onto different not floppy disks, and they're very old technology, but separate disks.
Yeah, what
but
you
I couldn't do anything.
What you running?
I've got an Amstrad. Oh yeah. So there you go. Yeah, good advice. Battery packs. Yeah, I've got a good one. And Liz she's got one as well, and she charges it up at night as well when there's cheap electricity, and that's another good thing to do.
Yeah, I've just bought 3 more. I'll keep them as emergency, one in the car, because it's just, you won't believe now, today's world, how much they've just, when we've had these very quick emergency situations, how handy they've come in, I can tell you.
And I've got a kind of a quick charger thing, which is a plug-in, and it gives kind of an extra boost charge. Well, not an extra boost charge. It quickly charges things up.
Yeah.
So that I use that in conjunction with the separate battery thing, and that works. And I use that on stage as well to plug in both of my iPads that I use. One of them operating my sound system and the other operating all the lyrics and all the music coming through. Brilliant. And that's very handy, so they don't run out of power when I'm on stage, because that happened to me once and it just went poop and everything disappeared, and I had to go back to the good old days, old school of acoustic guitar and a microphone. Fortunately, I've got enough songs in my head to be able to do that for enough time it takes for my iPad to charge back up again. But yeah, could be a disaster if you're the sort of if you don't play an instrument and you're the kind of singer that just sings on the mic with backing tracks. No. Cash and Bluetti says, and yeah, there's the Bluetti. I shouldn't be plugging them without getting money for it, but Bluetti are one of the cheapest in terms of what you can get for the money, at least in terms of the good makes. I've not researched whether you can get cheaper. You can get them from Temu, but I don't know how good they are.
They're all right, you get what you pay for, so I've got one decent one, but then the ones that we got kicking around, I had an offer on Temu. Normally we always laugh at the Temu envelopes and things that turn back. Oh, look, at Temu bag there. Look.
Yeah, Temu bag.
But they're all right, they are what they are, but at least they're there in an emergency. but you can obviously spend anything you like on a battery pack, can't you? But
You can, yeah. And it's not always the cheapest ones that are not good quality, because they,
no.
in spite of all of the things that we say about China and, human rights abuses, they make things cheap.
Yeah.
And sometimes they are just as good quality. So there you go.
They are.
Yeah. So I was going to say, oh yeah, goodie bag. Talking about goodie bag, I was going to say Donald Mackenzie can have one, but he's just
got
given
one.
him, he's got one already.
He got one. He came and got it in person, which means he got one of the good ones. Bernadette, who's not on today, but I spoke to her this week. You still haven't sent me your address, so I will send you your goodie bag out where you send the address, and then whoever wants one.
Yeah. Has Mike Fisk had one yet? He's in Marbella.
Yes, Mike Fisk will have. Don't worry about Mike. I'm going to look after Mike when his renewal comes in, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, brilliant. It seems like everybody on my list. I'm just zipping through the live chat. I think Barry's had one.
Adventures.
Oh, where's that?
From a very sunny Computer, rather than sunny Yorkshire this week. Kubley Adventures. 10:15.
10:15. Oh, let's zip back to 10:15. I didn't see that one come up. 10:15. Oh, Couple of Adventures. Yeah. From a very sunny Computer. Yeah. If you're still on, I mean, that was like an hour ago. If you're still on, then yeah, tell us. I mean, I can always just pop it round to your house from here. I can probably see where you live from here.
Cassini Jiki, that's a new one on the chat as well.
Yeah, Cassini, send us your details to what's the email one you want? YouTube at Upsticks.
Yes.
Yeah. So get in touch with your details and we'll get a pack out to you. Brilliant. So we'll wind the show up, and you can get a mini UPS for your router to keep it in when you have power outage. About £30 to £40, says Paul Cook. That's handy, but that wouldn't have done any good during the power outage, because the internet companies were all off, had no electricity either. So there was literally nothing happening across the whole of Spain that day. But yes, good to have power for things like your freezer, for example. We'd just been out shopping the day before and we had a full freezer. So that could have all cost us an awful lot of money, but fortunately it was only a 12-hour one. And as long as you keep the freezer door shut, you're okay. You're safe for longer than that.
Yeah.
So there you go. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening in. Let's tell you who our show guest is this week, because it's appropriate to a message that Donald Mackenzie put up talking about the premium bonds and everything. Lucia's advice, Ray, what to do with money and savings is so good. And Lucia Melgarejo, our very good friend from Black Tower, is on the show next week with her regular quarterly chat. And she's also every month on the newsletter from YouTooSpain.com, our website. And a plug for Chris's website as well, Upsticks.es, and his YouTube channel. There's a live thing broadcast that you do on a Thursday evening at 6 o'clock Spanish time.
Thursday, 6 o'clock. We're trying to get 5,000 subscribers this year, so we're up to 4,400 and something. So we're on track more or less. But
you should do that.
Steal your family's phones and subscribe to our channel as well if you've already subscribed.
Brilliant. And so thanks for watching, everybody. Join us next Saturday to ask your questions, or you can ask in advance as usual if you want on our YouTooSpain Facebook group or page. And that's it. Everybody give Chris a big virtual kiss and a hug, and thanks for leaving comments and hovering over the donations button and supporting us. It's all very much appreciated. We have a video as usual at 6 o'clock Spanish time on Wednesday evenings, or we'll see you live next Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Spanish time. And that is all for this week. Someone pass around the disaster cookies. Peace and love and peace and fluff to you all. And here's one final message from all of the voices in my head at YouTooSpain. Bye-bye.
Wave goodbye, lads. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? All right, then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.